Hi, everyone. For those that are just joining, we are going to wait a few seconds before we get started and we'll get on our way. Looks like we're rolling in. Okay, well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Ben Noor. I'm the partner and sponsor development manager for the Texas Restaurant Association. And today we have a masterclass by Square, Future Proofing Your Restaurant. Jonathan Vinigoni is going to be presenting. He is a restaurant product specialist and has worked at Square for nearly 7 years. Before working in tech, he spent around 11 years in working in restaurants around the St. Louis and Columbia, Missouri areas, and has worked in nearly every position in the front or the back of the house. So it sounds like Jonathan has a very well-versed background in the food industry, so that's a great sign. I do also want to introduce a few other people on the call as well. We have Jian Yu, who is with Square, Jeff Kurt, who's also with Square, and then we have one of our board of directors with the association, James Clark, there down as well. So without further ado, I will pass this off to Jonathan and we'll get this thing kicked off. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much for the intro, Ben. Really happy to be here today. So let's go ahead and I'm going to be speaking to James up front. So our first part of this this meeting here today. Let's actually go to the next slide here. So what we're going to be covering is we are going to be talking about like the current challenges that everybody's experiencing with restaurants, right? We're having staff shortages, labor costs is going up. Seemingly everything is going up in cost. We're going to talk about doing automation right. We want to be able to power your business to the best of its capabilities. And also we're going to end with talking about cash flow. So we're going to bring my buddy Jeff in to talk about some of Square's exciting banking and lending products and how having that good, easy access to capital and good banking products can help to optimize the business as well. Next slide, please. All right, so we are going to do like a kind of a brief interview here with a current Square seller. He is a TRA member. He's been on Square since February of 2022. So thank you very much for being with us. He owns Patty Cakes Bakery and Mosquito Cafe in Galveston, Texas. Please welcome James Clark, everyone. I don't know, nobody can really hear clapping, but exactly. All right, where's James here? I'm trying to find him. I'm still learning Zoom, y'all. Sorry about that. James, you there?
Yes, sir.
There
I'm
you
here.
are. All right, I can see you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time to chat here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, yes. So my pleasure. So let's go ahead and start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself in your restaurant. Maybe like the concept of your restaurant, how you take sales, how long you've been open. Do you take sales in person, online, both? Yeah, just let us have it. Oh, and you can stay on the last slide there, Ben.
All right, so just to kind of answer your questions that you prompted me up there before is Mosquito Cafe has been in business since May of 1999. So we just celebrated 23 years of business. And Patty Cakes Bakery, we opened in 2011. So we're going on 11 years of business with that. And so there are sister companies that are located right across the street from each other. The cafe is a fast casual type of experience where it's a modified counter service, and the bakery is more of a take and go. So they both offer unique types of situations to be able to utilize Square for restaurants. And so to kind of answer your question about how we utilize Square within our businesses is we do online ordering, we do in-store ordering, cash, card, tap, dip. I mean, anything and everything that can make us accessible to our customers is what we're looking for to do. Because it seems like that is really the way to go, is to be as accessible as possible to your guests. Whichever way they want to try to pay, you need to be able to accept that for them. And a little history about myself. I have been part of the business for 12 years. I'm actually not the owner. I'm the director of operations, but I am related to the owners. They're my in-laws. So, but my background doesn't even come from the restaurant industry, but it does have a heavy emphasis on management, which we all know plays a huge role in working in a restaurant. So many people think that it's, just food, but there's really so much more business aspect to it. And that's where having partners such as yourself and the connections with TRA really is a huge benefit, because you could kind of get lost if you just go out into the world without knowing what you're doing. So I think I kind of answered all your questions. Were there any that I missed?
No, you nailed it. Absolutely. I kind of set you up just to kind of open up about it, and you absolutely did it. Thank you so much. So, like one thing that I kind of wanted to touch on real quick that I found interesting was when you were talking about management, right? There's a lot of skills that go into leading a restaurant. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the CIA, to learn all that stuff. You can learn that just from life, right? Because it's a people skill. I think that you almost undersold yourself too, because whenever you're a director of operations, you wear a lot more hats than just leading the restaurant, right? You're probably HR, hiring, firing, payroll, therapist sometimes, order, everything like that, right? Is that safe to assume?
That is absolutely correct. And there's not one position in the restaurant that I have not done and are, not willing to do. I do it all. And, there's no 2 days that are the same, as we all know, and kind of roll with the punches and be flexible and moldable to do whatever needs to be done to keep the show going.
Most definitely. Flexibility is the name of the game. And I'm actually cut from a similar cloth. I've worked pretty much every position in a restaurant besides being an official GM or holding the purse, being an owner. So I've always just used the owner's money for all those operations, right? So you also mentioned too that you've been a part of the business for around 12 years. And I mean, hey, we could have probably done a separate panel with you and I just talking about working for your in-laws, right? But with 12 years, we all know that the world has really changed a lot. We've been through a lot over this last decade plus, and sorry to bring up like the bad times here, but since March of 2020, like how would you characterize how your restaurants had to adapt and change?
Oh man, everyone kind of banked on the word pivot for quite some time, and that really just best describes it. Is we changed however we needed to be, like I said, accessible to our customers. We had to, we were doing third party delivery before COVID really set off in the pandemic, everything. And that was just kind of on its own separate tablet and wasn't really integrated in anything. And we didn't do any online ordering. And so we really had to adapt and change in that way. So that way, again, like I said, we could just be accessible as possible to the customers, whichever way they needed to be able to get a hold of us, whether it be in person or contactless or virtual or delivery or what have you. That was the avenue that we were taking and becoming a part of. So it was definitely a huge, very fast-paced increase in technology incorporated into our business, but it really has set us up for a lot better success.
That's amazing. So diversifying your revenue channels allowed you to get what you could during those times when we had to be away from one another.
Absolutely. And we, like everyone else, we had closed dining rooms problems, and then we had to come back with limited seating. And then we had to get, creative with other ways to provide seating and service to our customers. So like for us, for instance, we closed down part of our parking lot and made it a bigger outdoor patio area. So now we have a little patio and a big patio. So it's still ongoing because our customers loved it so much that they asked us to keep it. And that's what we're doing. If they want it and they're happy with it, we're keeping it and we're working with it. So we had opportunities too where we turned our restaurant into an online grocery store. We kind of followed Whiskey Cake's example there. They're the ones who really kind of set that off for me to experience. I was like, hey, we can do this. And so we did. And that's honestly, that online grocery store and the takeout orders really is what carried us through the month of April in 2020. Like if it wasn't for that, our doors probably would have been shut. So it just showed me like there's ways to incorporate the technology and be able to continue operating even in the worst of times possible.
Absolutely. It's one of the beautiful sides of technology. To be honest, when I was a chef, to go orders and online orders that would come that would make their way into the restaurant would annoy me. I would have a dining room full of people. I'd be like, oh, to go order, and I'd just put it right back there at the end of the rail, right? Now the thing is, those what you said, I think is about what 99% of the sellers that I was implementing and servicing during that time were going through. We have to get these people somehow. Hey, patio season before pandemic was great because hey, this multiplies our capacity, right? And then patio season just became something that was completely crucial to operating. So it was having to adapt to the space there. But like let's see if there's like another like one or two of the biggest challenges. So pivoting to like a new service model, having to deal with all those regulations. Let's give a couple other challenges, if you will, too. Like yeah.
So some of the key challenges that we were encountering were staffing challenges, retaining staff, getting new people in and training them. So that was a bit of a challenge. And then also supply chain issues. Those are still obviously ongoing and are different ways that we kind of have to navigate around. And like I said, the show must always go on. So we're in back of house trying to figure out every which way possible to keep the quality and the experience there for our guests.
Absolutely. And so then, like how did, and we already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what role did technology, like take in the business? How did it change from, before March of 2020 until now?
So, I mean, we had to keep up with the demand from adding more tech. We were doing about, if I remember correctly, I think it was about 8 to 9% takeout orders versus in-store orders. And then all of a sudden that increased to about, I think it was 50%. Well, obviously when we're closed, it was everything. But then when dining rooms reopened, it was still about 50-50. And then now it's finally starting to kind of settle down where we're seeing more about 25% takeout versus dine-in. And so, with incorporating different technology to be more accessible, we really had to look at how we were operating and being able to balance both of those, not only from the kitchen standpoint, but also from the front of house, how they're managing the higher flow of takeout customers versus in-store customers too.
Absolutely. Now, just because you're a Square seller, and I'm always going to be curious about how you utilize our technology. What's your tech stack look like? What type of equipment are you using inside of your locations?
So at both locations, we have Square for Restaurants, and which works beautifully, and I love it. We got KDS at the restaurant, which is a huge help. Which is funny because we don't utilize it as it is intended. It's not actually a kitchen display for us. It's actually for our expediters. So they're
Awesome.
able to really we're able to, adapt it and make it really work well for us, for our situation. And then we also are doing the online ordering through Square, which is beautiful. And then we've also partnered with Chowly through Square, where we're able to integrate all of our third-party deliveries directly into our Square tablets. So instead of having 10 tablets on our countertop and trying to manage all of those, it's all into one tablet, which is a huge benefit for us.
Absolutely. Whenever I see that tablet farm at any restaurant that I go to in New York, I always cringe because I couldn't imagine not only having to find a place to plug in all those dang chargers, but just like the gross inefficiency of getting an order on one system and then having to walk a couple steps over to your other system to enter it in. If you annualize that time spent just doing that alone, I mean, how much money is that worth? I don't even want to think about it, but 100%.
Well, not to mention the huge chance for error and for missed orders, and that it just throws a wrench in the operations and efficiency of your system.
Absolutely. Now, just out of curiosity too, because I'm still a big Square product nerd here. Do you all use our register product? Do you use iPads? Do you use the handheld terminals? What type of hardware?
So I have the iPad with the stand.
Awesome.
And with the remote square reader. So that way it's, out by the customer. And so we take the order, they can, then we spin the stand around, screen is facing, it just really works well. It's a very smooth operation. Initially, I was very curious and was leaning towards, I forget what it's called, a square register, I think is what it's called, where it has the front facing little tablet. But I wanted it to be iPad based, so that way there was more open ticket type of configuration. So there was, a better way to go. And so the stand was the way to go for us.
Awesome. I'm kind of an Apple disciple myself too, so I just know how to navigate iPads. So that's always kind of what I preferred. But that's great to hear. So now we kind of talked about those challenges, and I want to keep this more optimistic, right? So going forward, I mean, you've been in the business for a while. What's next for James, and what's next for the restaurant group? What are going to be the next issues that you plan on tackling?
Mainly is just going to be keeping a community feel amongst our restaurants here. And I'm speaking more on I'm also the chair of the Galveston chapter of the TRA. So really that's been my focus, and ever since I became the chair, which started in November of 2019. So as you can imagine, I got in fresh into it and then went straight into a pandemic. But my whole focus the whole time, and still is keeping it a community. There's so much camaraderie versus competition. If we all bond together and help each other out, we can all be successful together. Instead of trying to compete and knock each other down, why not help each other out? It just really is a much better experience. And so that's been my main focus, and I've been able to incorporate that a lot into how we operate in our own business too.
Absolutely. That's really beautiful to hear, is that community, that community aspect that you talked about. I couldn't agree more that it's a lot more valuable to lift up your colleagues rather than try to compete and take them down. Right? We're all in the same foxhole, dealing with the same types of people, right? And a lot of my friends, most of my friends, just so happen to be bartenders because I love going out, right? But a lot of them, I remember, were talking about how their customers seemingly were learning to socialize again, right? So everybody was kind of adjusting to get back out there. Did you feel a similar way?
Oh, absolutely. There was definitely a lot of, hey, we missed you. We're so glad you're still here. And we just want to, support you guys as much as possible. I think there was a big realization of how important and crucial the food service industry is to everyone's community. We're essential workers, and people didn't really realize that. And so it really was a great opportunity for that realization to happen.
100%. Well, James, I appreciate your insights so much here. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna keep on going, but thank you so much for telling us about those challenges and how you overcame them with staffing, using our technology, overcoming those supply chain issues. We really appreciate you, and looking forward to seeing you at the TRA show in Dallas next week.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it as well.
Awesome. Everybody give it up for James. We can't hear clapping, but they are wildly applauding for you. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please, Ben. Okay, so the first thing that James mentioned, which I think is top of mind for pretty much everybody here in this meeting here today, is going to be the staffing shortages, right? Hey, if you don't have enough staff, we're not going to be taking as many covers. The cost to acquire your staff members has risen considerably. People are even having to pay for those, pricey recruitment apps to be able to find good quality people. And, I'm pretty sure that Indeed doesn't really know what makes a good chef. So I know that can be a big issue. And then all of this obviously is going to have a big impact, a big negative impact on your margins. One thing that I found very interesting, a stat that we took from our existing restaurateurs, was that 73% of our sellers said that they are experiencing a labor shortage, and 21% of their positions are unfilled. 21% less labor, 21% less effective, right? But there's a lot of ways that we can leverage technology to push forward into surpass all of this. So next slide, please. All right, so just a few things here. We all know that machines are never going to replace you and your staff. There is something about humans that make us really good at serving each other, right? We all are social creatures. Machines aren't going to replace us. And given the people that you do have, though, we can empower you with technology to be able to do more with less. So by allowing your customers to take sales in alternative ways and to place orders, besides just speaking directly with the server, you can reformat the usage of your staff. So for example, the inside of this slide right here, like the self-service, this is a lot of what my sellers that I'm talking to have been using on patios, on nights when they're short on staff. It's a really good way to eliminate the need of a server to be stressed out having too many tables. People can now manage the order themselves. And what my sellers are doing is they're talking about transitioning their servers from being more of independent contractors that just handle a few tables within a section to hospitality managers and experience managers. It's going to be a one person touching many tables type of deal. And then we are going to be eliminating those extra steps of plugging in those orders and walking back and forth between the tables. So taking that team approach, and allowing servers just to manage the overall experience rather than waiting hand and foot on each person can really add a lot of efficiency to the operation. Once again, we want you all to do more with less. Let's save those trips back and forth. If you add up all those trips back and forth to the kitchen, back and forth to the point of sale, that really adds up over the years. Another thing that I wanted to talk about here is going to be kiosks. Kiosks are something that have been a little bit newer on my radar over the years. I only assumed that the gigantic corporate restaurants were able to ever afford this type of technology, but it's something that has become very popular. In fact, 79% of customers say that they prefer to order via online kiosks than directly through the staff members. And that's not just fast food, everybody. That's 45%, like 45% of customers even prefer it in casual dining, and 21% prefer it in fine dining. Something about the pandemic, something about all that alone time made us a little bit less social, I suppose. So using technology to kind of bridge that gap and to make people feel comfortable to order the way that they want to can also help to drive extra revenue to the bottom line. Then, of course, table side. We are Square. We invented mobile payments. We would be remiss without mentioning that. Being able to bring out an entire robust point of sale by hand, to be able to talk to the customer, to be able to completely manage the sale from order entry to ticket editing to order sending to payments right at the table is a really good way to once again add that efficiency and remove all of that dang back and forth. And then also, obviously, we can't have a Square meeting without showing off our beautiful point of sale on that left tile right there too. So having all of these pieces of technology configurable and going and funneling into one single source of truth is going to be a big theme of today's meeting here. Let's go ahead and go on to the next slide here. So with these labor shortages, we explained a few ways, those kiosks, QR codes, mobile payments, an integrated point of sale is a good way to help to bridge that gap. But also there's going to be all different types of automation that we can speak about here too. So once again, we are going to be transitioning those servers into, more hospitality managers. This is a really good quote that kind of sums up exactly what I was talking about here with leveraging technology to improve these operations. Our labor cost percentage for an entire beer garden is 150% less than when I owned a 300 square foot frozen yogurt shop. And that's entirely because of QR code ordering. Turn more tables, spend less time talking and fussing with technology, and spend more time getting more covers in the door and serving them. So then, we also have some gap stuff that we can talk about on the left-hand side, but we all know the problem that we're solving here. Let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. All right. So guys, off-premise sales are here to stay. It's not just going to be a flash in the pan that happened because of a little scare that we had with a pandemic. These third-party apps, people wanting to order online, people wanting to take an indirect approach to placing their orders is here to stay. Those companies in these practices have literally sunk their claws into our industry. So restaurants that offer online ordering say that an average of 34% of their revenue comes from those channels. So we're going to be transitioning. James mentioned earlier, I I think he said 8 or 9%, went up to about 50%, and he's down to about 25%. But we're seeing an average of about 34%, which is very. It's nothing to shake a stick at. So I'm gonna also explain kind of a techie word that's on the left. The pandemic has validated our omni-channel strategy, and by omni-channel strategy, we just mean the ability to take sales no matter which area. Is it online? Is it through an app on my phone through DoorDash? Is it walking up to my kiosk? Is it walking up to the counter? We need to be able to meet our customers wherever they are to make sure that we can take those orders. All right, so then let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. So these new channels are going to be able to allow you to adapt and to grow and change, because we don't know what's coming in the future. I think the one thing that the last few years have taught us the most is that nothing is predictable anymore. So we once again want to be able to meet our customers where they are, and then also, why just rely on a third-party company like a DoorDash or a Grubhub to handle those online orders? Why not have your own integrated online ordering page where you can train your customers to go directly to you to eliminate a lot of those extra fees and commissions that get charged? We already know that margins are super thin because of those supply line issues, because of those staffing shortages, because of the rising cost of everything. So being able to then train your customers to be able to, find you online and directly order through you is going to be paramount going forward. So we want to be able to help save you all from those third-party delivery fees, and then funnel them directly to Square. One thing that's great too is when it comes to meeting your customers where they are, Square recently did develop a way to order directly through Google. I'm originally from St. Louis, and I now live in New York. This place is very vast. Literally, the way that I find 95% of the places that I go to is through Google. The way that I find out if I can order somewhere remotely is through Google. So if somebody searches bakery in my area, they find you, they click on your profile in the maps page, they can now order directly through Google as well. So Google, your website, third-party apps, walking into the store itself. We're talking, once again, I'm beating a dead horse here, but meeting your customers wherever they are. Let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. So this is kind of the history of a point of sale right here. Before omni-channel solutions, before app-based, cloud-based systems came along, to create a point of sale was kind of a difficult task. We had to paste together a lot of different solutions. You'd first start by finding a payment provider. So I need to go get underwritten for credit card processing. It's going to take a few weeks. I'm going to pay them thousands of dollars while they keep on dinging my credit score with a bunch of hard credit checks. Then, if I'm lucky, I have to pay them $5,000 for an old terminal that's not PCI compliant from 1998, and then I'm going to pay a bunch of random fees going forward. So great, I have payments. Now I have to find a piece of software to integrate in to where I can take payments through the software and maybe itemize my sales. Then what about clocking in with my employees? What about being able to accept gift cards? I need to be able to pay my employees through a payroll system. How can I incentivize repeat visits with loyalty? How do I keep track of my inventory? It was a bunch of pasted together solutions that created more disparate problems. Throwing a bunch of different technology together isn't necessarily going to work, because not all pieces of technology are created equally, and not all technology is going to play nicely together in the sandbox. So this is just kind of that view of what people had to do before, which is pasting everything together. A company like Square, we've created an umbrella approach that allows one to be able to control all aspects of their business from beginning to end, and then be able to analyze all of those data points. Let's do next slide. So this is what I'm talking about. Instead of that really disparate view of a bunch of different things coming together, you can have all of those things funneled through one direct source of truth. The point of sale should be your source of truth. We used to think of it just as a glorified calculator that helped you to charge a cheeseburger plus tax. It's a lot more than that nowadays. This is your eyes and ears. It allows you to communicate between the front and the back of the house, to be able to track your inventory, track your labor costs, track your time cards, everything that you need. So feel free to take a quick look at this graphic here, because this is something that we're really proud of, taking a true platform approach to taking sales. All right, and there we go. Okay, next slide, please. So once again, we are looking to streamline your operations. We want that one source of truth within your point of sale. So direct third-party integration, getting pumped directly in instead of having that dreaded tablet farm that we mentioned earlier is a good place to start. We don't want to have to duplicate those orders. We don't want to risk any more inaccurate orders or unhappy guests here. And then also, how are we doing in the moment? It's really nice to know where all of my revenue is whenever I want to, rather than after I batch out at the end of the night and then I find out that I ran a labor deficit. So then the next slide. So we're talking, I was talking a lot here about streamlining your technology. We don't want to just be a software company. A software company is a one-trick dog. What we are is a payments technology company that grew into the area of creating awesome points of sales in an omni-channel approach to control all aspects of the business. So whenever you're looking in assessing new technology, you want to be looking for a partner. You don't want to just be looking for a software company. So a few questions that you want to ask yourself here. Is this product that I'm buying going to remain the same? Am I spending thousands of dollars for open source software that's going to be put on a touch screen from 1998, and then a bunch of phone lines have to be run around my business, and then nobody's ever going to be able to fix it or update it? Or is it going to grow and be dynamic? Are they going to be constantly iterating on and investing in that product to make it better for you and to make your life easier? Are they taking your feedback to heart? Are you locked into a contract, or is there flexibility with what you want to choose, right? Think about the different building blocks that it takes to create a point of sale, to create a payment flow, and then make sure that you're going to be able to change around and pivot if need be. How nicely does the system play with others? And so if there ever is product gaps in the technology that you're assessing, can I integrate a partner? How much does it cost to integrate those partners? Am I going to be paying a separate SaaS fee for onboarding another inventory system that then I'm going to be charged a percentage of each time a sale goes through and is analyzed by them? So make sure that you always look at those terms. In my opinion, compelling a seller to get locked into a contract when they own a small, medium, or even enterprise level business, I think is unfair. I think it kind of shows a lack of confidence in the product. So just make sure that you're looking into the intentions of the people that are selling you. Make sure that you're not getting rushed into signing something that's going to have a very significant impact on your business. How much are those integrations? Keep track of that as well. So then the last part is taking feedback to heart. Are there humans at this company that are gonna help you out? Once again, a partner. We want to have somebody that helps me set this up. Is there somebody that I can call at 2 a.m. if my reader doesn't work? Is there somebody that can have an ongoing conversation with me about how to best optimize my usage of the system? All important things to think. And then also, does that support cost money? If you're going to be paying money for support, they better be good. So then next one, let's go ahead and go to the next one. So, all right. So now that we kind of talked about unifying that tech stack, right? Taking a bunch of disparate tools, creating your point of sale and your method of taking payments into a first party system. But now we're going to talk about money. Money makes all this stuff run. So please help me welcome one of my favorite colleagues here at Square. He's one of our banking experts. Everybody, please welcome Jeffrey Kurt.
Thank you very much, Johnny.
Right, yeah.
Really appreciate the introduction there.
Jeffrey, I got to tell you right now, man, that is a wonderful picture. I think you chose the best headshot in this whole presentation here today.
Yeah, no, awesome. I thought about putting it on this morning, but it was just a little bit too warm. I figured the pull-up might be
Good. Hey, that's we want you to stay comfortable here at work. So now, so Jeff, did you want to maybe start off by telling the audience here a little bit about yourself, maybe some of your professional experience and your tenure here at Square?
Yeah, of course. So previous experience that I had when I first graduated college, I actually worked at Enterprise car rental and truck rental. They do indeed give you the tools to be your own boss. But at some point, the grass was indeed greener on the other side when I found Square. Phenomenal company, have been doing a lot of amazing things in the past 10 years. So I was really excited to jump on board where I started doing point of sale sales for about a year and a half or so, and have since been in this role as a banking product specialist for about a year, 2.5 years, I guess, in total then.
That's great. And everybody that's here, I actually worked side by side with Jeff. I wasn't one of the salespeople. I was on the implementation team, being a product nerd. And he and I were in the same foxhole, getting people across the finish line, making sure that our customers are happy. Jeff, I'm glad to have you with us here today.
Yes,
So,
definitely. And quite a foxhole it was at times. But yeah, we're looking forward to continuing, obviously, all of the restaurant implementation that you've been discussing thus far here, and really further establishing Square here as a good neobanking partner for all restaurants in Texas, and hopefully here in the rest of the US and the world as we continue expanding.
awesome. Well, and actually, that kind of brings into my first point there. So, we are a unique company, right? Because we are a payments technology company. We create awesome verticalized points of sales, but now we are a bank. And you use this term neo-banking. I've been actually hearing that term a lot recently. And to be honest, I've just been kind of faking it till I make it. I don't really know what it means. Do you mind explaining to me exactly what neo-banking is?
Oh yeah, of course, definitely. So neobank essentially is a challenger bank where fintechs like Square are entering the banking and lending market with a set of more sophisticated tools to help provide better banking solutions and funding when the customers actually need it. Many of you, I'm sure, with the businesses that you run, have experienced a conventional lending requirement. That's a variety of factors: collateral against your home, business equipment, those hard credit checks that you were mentioning as well, long, complicated contracts, etc. So again, enter a company like Square. We can evaluate an offer for your business simply by requiring your last 3 months of processing history plus a 1099-K tax form, 4 total documents acting as your proof of concept. You process X annually, averaging Y in daily sales. We can provide you a Z. The actual funding of that can take 1 to 3 business days. So we'll get to that here in a moment as well. But we have the data, and that's kind of where this neobanking kind of steps in. Is we're not requiring all these additional hoops to jump through, making it much more easy to bank with a company like this during this time. On top of that, traditional checking and savings accounts usually involve some kind of fee or minimum just to have them be opened and maintained. For what? You're holding my money for me. You're letting me access my money with my hard-earned funds. No longer. We're coming in here to prevent customers from needing to rely exclusively on banks and kind of keep everything under that one dashboard, as you've done a great job highlighting thus far.
Awesome. I really love that. So now, as you talk to sellers every day that are curious about the banking products and or asking advice about best ways to manage their cash flow, what are the top needs that you're hearing in the industry for regarding money management, and how has access to money changed that conversation over the last couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. One really fantastic example that was given by our guest earlier, James. There's accessibility where you as the business owner are reaching your customers where they need it and it's most convenient for you. But doesn't the business owner deserve the same, kind of treatment on the other side of it? So it is that accessibility and ease of use. So access to working capital, low, no fee banking solutions that are easy to understand and use are essential for business owners in the US, across the entire world. Obviously, there's no exception with what we're doing here. Since the start of the pandemic, that access to that type of funding has been limited, or there have been a variety of barriers created to help protect the typical lending institutions, but obviously kind of at the detriment then of the business owners. At the end of the day, all businesses need to finance their business somehow, whether it's through their own sales and savings, whether they're utilizing a lending network of friends and family, other investors like that, or enter some level of negotiation with the traditional bank. All viable solutions, but at what cost? You highlighted that as well. When you start looking at all these things side by side, it really starts adding up over time. Many businesses don't even have the same access to the traditional funding methods, or their sales took a dramatic downturn while operating at less than 100% capacity, specifically here in the past couple of years. Lots of current prospective customers that I talk to think they're paying erroneous monthly fees, maintaining account minimums and getting charged when they drop below that, or just having that institution hold money for them is something that people are just kind of getting over. Why do I have to work in this just disjointed world when I can bring everything under one location? And that's something that we happen to do really well.
Oof, charging people for to have access to their money that they work their whole life to get. That's awful.
Bravo, honestly.
And then and so then you were also saying too, like when the conditions get worse, the parameters for even having access to money when you need it most get worse. Well, somebody please think about the big banks. God save the big banks. Said no one ever, right? So now how has the old institutions, like how has that relationship with those old lending partners, like the only ones that we knew of before neobanks came along, like how has that old fashioned approach to banking like really limited the businesses of all sizes you talk to?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's really just the existence of them, right? Traditional lending methods are limited by long, complicated contracts and negotiations that often result in a seller taking on additional debt with an interest rate as they try to regain their footing in the COVID world. Typically acquiring for a loan, again, as many of you may have seen from your own personal experiences, it can take 2, 3, 4+ months. And that's just to see if you're approved. Then you have to actually apply for the loan itself and go through whatever auditing process is associated with that. And that just takes even more time. So we've also collected a variety of data on these institutions, and they're disenfranchising and ultimately ignoring a lot of the needs for business owners of color and women-run businesses to acquire funding at all, specifically in the SMB space. So when you're looking at these, lower capital needs, the banks aren't even looking at that. You're not my ICP, you're not my ideal customer because you're a business that processes, $400,000, $500,000 in a year, and you need $10,000. We're not interested in providing you that because that's a lot of paperwork on our end. Enter Square, company that has a good accessible funding for things like that. Easy, simple, transparent.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I couldn't imagine if I had like a refrigerator break or if I needed a new walk-in cooler and then waiting 3 months for approval. What am I just going to let all of my chicken rot in the fridge? That sounds really challenging. Kind of actually reminds me of when I was onboarding people too. There was a person in Alaska that had to cancel on one of our training sessions because a wild moose broke their iconic glass windows. They had stained glass windows out front, so they were dealing with the repair person for that.
God,
so
honestly, you can't trust a moose. That's what I learned in my older years here.
Yeah. Moose do not belong walking around hamburger places, it's something I really didn't think of was the like that trajectory, like that speed of money that people need. Like sometimes you need money now. So like that's all interesting stuff. And like with all that being said, like how's Square like leading the charge in banking to this new age of restaurants? Like how is Square leading the charge into that neobanking type of concept that you were talking about? Neobanking, did I use that right, Jeff?
Oh yeah, 100%. See, you're a
perfect.
professional. You can now start giving TED Talks on neobanking. You clearly know something.
Awesome. I am now a neobanker. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, to answer your question there, simply put, Square is doing it all. Right. We're offering this powerful pillar to our ecosystem that essentially allows our customers to own both sides of a transaction and view the full snapshot of their business all in one dashboard, both transactional and banking. So you can process your debit and credit card sales through the point of sale and access that transactional reporting. Then in that same dashboard, funds are immediately visible and accessible through the Square checking account at no fee. That can be spent with the Square card, utilize ACH transfers or bill pay functionality if you have vendors or bills in general that need to be paid for. You can also automatically save a percentage of your daily sales with Square Savings, also at no fee, for events like tax season, onboarding new employees, purchasing new equipment, rainy day fund, whatever your business might need. With all of that direct transactional data, you're constantly being evaluated for loans through our lending arm that provides seamless, transparent, and quick funding options up to $250,000 within 1 to 3 business days. Tell me, if you have a bank or a close friend or a parent that can provide you with that level of funding that quickly, tap their shoulder. But at the end of the day, it doesn't exist. So where we step in is we provide, again, fast, easy, convenient funding for you. On top of that, you can even utilize Square Payroll as an additional piece of that puzzle where you can process as many pay runs per month as you'd like, all at one monthly fee. The best part about that checking and payroll relationship is, you guessed it, fully integrated between these two platforms, allowing you to run payroll as late as the night before you actually are paying your employees to ensure that they're still paid on time. But, hey, maybe a moose ran through your window and you have a busy day ahead of you still got to make sure those employees get paid. So with that integration, again, omni-channel solution, the full ecosystem constantly at work for you. And then for the banking product specifically, additional products such as line of credit, credit card, and more are in the works. We're excited to continue growing this product line with Square and the sellers that we're serving to better suit the changing landscapes of the restaurant industry. And if you're looking to minimize fees and clear up time and stress in your day with the strongest, most whole-bodied solution in the industry, joining Square is going to give you the best solution for all those front end and back end needs.
Wow. All right. One day, like, sorry, just transfix on one detail too. Like that 1 day payroll run, really would have saved my hide a lot of times when I was a chef. It was always my job to print off that labor report and to physically bring it to our accountant, who was kind of old fashioned. And I had to wake up a couple times and run to the restaurant to actually print out something from our Windows 95 computer in the back. So I really could have used that when I was a chef.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, this is all exciting stuff. You know, I work at the same company as you, and I know that you guys have been growing that product so much. So it's so wonderful that you were able to come in and share that stuff with me. I hope you know I'm going to be bringing up a lot of these possibilities for financial products on calls too, just so that people know that we truly do offer a holistic solution. So, any parting thoughts, in general about our lending products before we let you go and start the Q&A here?
Not specifically. Pretty much anything you can find right there. Type in Square Banking, spend 5-10 minutes reading about it. Tell me that the product doesn't solve itself. Again, we're solidifying that pillar of this ecosystem that says, hey, you're running your front end amazingly. Let's go ahead and take a look at that back end. Let's see how that cash is moving on the back and see if we can leverage some of that data to help fund your vision and your growth in your company.
I love that. All right, well, let's keep on funding that vision together, Jeff. Love it. Okay, everybody, give it up for Jeff Kurt, our banking expert. There we go. I'm so used to doing these things on stage, so it feels weird not to hear people. All right, so now let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Oh, Jeff, you know what? We forgot your slide, buddy. But the thing is, though, I think it was worth it having that really good picture up of you the whole time.
I'm not gonna lie, I got zoned into the picture and forgot to ask for the next slide. But we talked about all of this, and those we can obviously get this out.
Yes, we'll let everybody take a quick screenshot of this too. There we go. Ta-da! All right. So now, then, before we begin the Q&A too, I just wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves a little bit of a plug here. So if you all want to learn more, please reach out to us. We do have a special TRA membership contact form, and maybe can we post this link? I'm not sure if that's going to be an active link from the presentation. If maybe we could put that in the chat for folks to click on, I'd really appreciate that. So feel free to reach out to us. We would love to demo the product to you. We would love to talk about how we can fit into your operation and help to optimize your the way in which you take sales and collect that money. Then also, it goes without saying as well, I gotta plug myself for being at the Texas Restaurant Association show next week in Dallas. So come on by booth number 1101, and I'll be there showing off our hardware. Come play with it. Come see a demo account. Come see stuff print out in our beautiful KDS as well. So we're gonna be really happy to see you over there. So now I'm going to kind of turn it back over to Ben here because I think I might have seen a couple questions coming through, the chat along the way. So let's go ahead and begin the Q&A here. How we doing this, Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. So there were a few questions that came through directly to us. And then one of the first questions was, do you lease or own the hardware?
Oh, okay. So good question there. So we do actually own the hardware. So Square, it's going to be like just a total cost of ownership is just going to be getting that initial equipment up front. Now, when it comes to rentals, we do actually have a couple partner companies that are able to rent it. So for example, if you wanted to use us for like a special mobile event or something like that, if you get in touch with the sales team, we'd be more than happy to get you in touch with our partners for renting that. But yeah, that equipment is all going to be yours. It's very, very affordable. And also depending on your volume, depending on the size of the business and everything like that too, talk to your salesperson and see what we can do to possibly subsidize or maybe, give away a thing or two here too. So yeah, like there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can buy it outright. You can rent it through a partner if you get in touch with us, or the third one here, sorry, went blank. So yeah, we can rent it, we can buy it, or yes, your salesperson can also help to work out a deal for that, and we can finance it too.
Okay, great. And a follow-up question to that. So out of the 4 hardware options that you chose, I guess 3 technically, since one was a QR option, which one's the most popular?
Ooh, the most popular, I'd have to say probably the point of sale. Our point of sale is, it's got that iconic look, and that was definitely what made us the company that we are today. Even to use a QR code, you got to imagine if you have an older person that doesn't know how to use their phone, or maybe even somebody that might be disabled, not able to, to look at the QR code or to read an online menu, it's still good to have that around. So I still will say that the cornerstone of every operation is still going to be essentially through that point of sale, because you do want to have one module to be able to manually take an order from somebody, depending on, no matter how they need it.
Okay, great. And the final question that came through directly to us was, do you have to sign a contract with Square?
Oh, once again, no, there are no contracts with us. We stand by our product. We are once again constantly investing in and iterating on our product to make your life easier. We are going to be earning your business every single month that you're with us. We have a vested interest in keeping you happy, because once again, we're not making you sign a bunch of creepy paperwork that's going to compel you to use our product.
Okay, great. Well, that's the only questions we received since then. Oh wait, we do have another question. One second. Can we talk a bit more about Square customer service and support, and what can a restaurant operator expect?
Absolutely. So like I said, we have a very large investment in our human facing groups. So we have a very large, boots on the ground and remote sales team that's going to be able to walk you through the best solution for yourself. Then once you decide what the best solution is, we have a great implementation team. I always got to plug them, because that's the team that I came from before I was in this current role. So they'll help you get set up the right way the first time, teach you the back end, how to administer over the system, teach you the front end, even teach you, how to train your staff. They'll support you personally for a week after going live. And then along those lines, we still have 24/7 support around the clock. There's going to be experts that are ready to answer your calls. In addition to that, we also have a great support center online, squareup.com/help. We have great articles and videos there. Then after you've been with Square for a while, after you're out of the salesperson's responsibility, we will assign you in a personalized account manager as well to help manage that relationship going forward, keep you in touch with the latest promotions and the newest technologies that we're pushing out, and to make sure that you're using the system the right way.
Great.
So a lot of different ways.
Yeah, very thorough answer. Thank you. I'll give the opportunity for a couple more questions if anyone has those. I'll leave it open for a few more minutes, but if not, I do want to mention that Square is a member value partner of the Texas Restaurant Association. For those members that are on this webinar, please take full advantage. The contact form is in the chat box. You do get discounts as a TRA member, so please use that to your advantage. And one last thing I'd like to mention before we conclude, if there's no more questions, Square does have a booth at the Texas Restaurant Show, which is happening from July 10th through 11th. Please visit them at booth number 1101. And you'll be able to get a lot more questions answered in person. So I don't see any more questions coming through as I gave that little spiel there. So Jonathan, I want to thank you for your time today, and the rest of the panelists on the call. It's been a very informative webinar for us, and I know it's going to be beneficial. One last thing I will mention, we do record this. It will go on our YouTube page. So you will be able to pull more information from there as well, and then Square you can do with it as you will. So I will thank everyone for their time today. It looks like there may be, okay, just everyone saying thank you. Okay, well, thank you all to everyone in the chat. It looks like it was a pretty lively bunch today, so we appreciate your attendance, and we hope you enjoy your week and have a safe and happy 4th. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.